As an entrepreneur, you've got to just stick it in there day in, day out, whether it's good, whether it's bad. You gotta show up every day and be there. And so that's really what developed me.
Hey guys, this is your host Xavier Kelly on the Up Next podcast. I'm here today with Adelaide Freeman. She is an entrepreneur and she's the founder of Twillo Influencer Brands. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. I can't complain. I had 2 cups of coffee in me and a great night's sleep last night, so all is well.
Yeah. I've been very interested about you and just how you got to this point and just all the things you have done and all you have achieved. And I really want people to know, who are you? Let them know. Who are you?
Oh man, who are you? What a question. What a loaded question. I originally grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised, and grew up in a conservative, old school Southern community. And then right after Nashville, I told myself, the South is great. I'm ready to get out. I'm ready. I'm tired of living and growing up in a homogeneous culture. I want something different. I actually would say, and you're probably gonna laugh at this, but I would say I want someone to disagree with me. I'm tired of everyone agreeing with me. I'm tired of people having the same financial background, the same religious beliefs, the same political beliefs, the same mindset. And I was like, I just want someone to flat out tell me I'm wrong. And so as a result, I ended up saying, hey, let's get out of the South. Let's go to the Northeast and see what can happen there. And I chose University of Delaware. And then right after University of Delaware, headed up to New York City and was in New York City for about 6 years, and was an experience like none other. And I highly encourage everyone to go and to live in New York for at least a year to even a couple years to experience it, because living in New York is what I like to say, it works muscles you didn't even know you had. I mean, it puts you in different situations that you don't usually experience in other parts of the country, and sides of yourself that you didn't even know you had come out. So you learn a lot about yourself living in New York. And so I was there. I went to New York. I was real stubborn. Day one of New York, as I like to say. I was real stubborn. I was extremely prideful. I had a very egotistical, my way or the highway attitude. And all I wanted was, I just was going to New York to build my own empire. And all I wanted was to become a famous fashion designer. And I wanted to be the next Marc Jacobs, Alexander McQueen, and see what could happen. And so I get to New York. I didn't have any job. I didn't know. I think I knew one person. In New York City, but I really didn't know that many people. And I ended up moving into a hostel and slept on a bunk bed. And truly, my personal space was as big as this chair. I mean, I had no personal space, for my things. And so I shared a bathroom with 3 other people. So it was a total of 4 people in the room, and we had 1 bathroom. And and I had no job, and the only thing I had was I just had a lot of dreams. And so I ended up, when I got there, I was unemployed for an extensive period of time. I mean, I was unemployed a long, long time. And then finally, I would just go on I would just send out my resume and I would just beat the pavement hard trying to get a job, trying to get one door open, but no doors would open at all. I mean, month after month after month. And then finally I would end up getting a freelance position, but a freelance position, it wasn't a long-term thing. It was only a short-term. It was only project-based, right? So I would go in and they would hire me saying, that this project is going to last, up to 6 months. And so that was my mindset, was there, oh, this is great. I'm finally going to be able to have a stable paycheck for 6 months. And then what happened was that it ended up being that I would be there with the mindset of being there for 6 months, and I'd only be there for 2 weeks. I'd only be there for a month, and out of nowhere they'd come to me and say, Adelaide, you're done. Pack up your things, go home. Yeah. And I went through that so many times. I mean, I think over 3 years of freelance and then being unemployed for 3-4 months, then getting a freelance project, then unemployed for 3 or 4 months. Then, so just, I share this with you to say that how crazy our God is that He was preparing me. He was preparing me to be an entrepreneur. When I didn't even have the thought of ever being an entrepreneur, He was the one that was really preparing me, because I needed to develop this resiliency. I needed to develop endurance. And as an entrepreneur, you've got to just stick it in there day in, day out, whether it's good, whether it's bad. You got to show up every day and be there. And so that's really what developed me, into the entrepreneur that I am, is just sticking through it. So what happened was, I finally ended up, a freelance turned into a full-time position, which was a blessing. And I truly, truly believe, and I say this, I wasn't hired because of my skills. I wasn't hired because I was this incredible creative designer. I was only hired because the head designer liked my personality, and she liked the fact that I had a sense of urgency about me, that I had a get it done attitude, that the moment she'd give me a project or give me a task, I wouldn't give her an excuse. I wouldn't give her, a lot of an earful. I would just have a sense of urgency, like, let's get this thing done immediately. And that's the only reason I was hired. It wasn't because of my portfolio. It wasn't because of my skills. It was just the personality that she liked. And I worked for that company, and exactly what happened is that I ended up similar to the freelance world. I thought I was going to be there long term, and after a year of working with that company, one Thursday, out of nowhere, HR calls me. And I was thinking, this is either going to go really well or really bad. It's nowhere in between. Either I'm getting a promotion or I'm getting fired. And HR gives me a call and says, Adelaide, pack up your things, go home, you're done. And so I went home that day, and I was shell-shocked. I was numb. But I say this because, I tell this because I believe in divine intervention, and I believe sometimes that as humans we can get so tunnel vision or so focused on what's in front of us, and we actually need God to come in and divert our path completely. And it was a massive blessing, because I got fired, and that is what really caused me to evaluate my life and to figure out, am I really happy? Am I really happy in this job? Am I really happy in the direction that I'm headed right now? Or do I need a whole different career path? And so that one day of getting fired is what has changed my life completely.
That's really interesting. Like, you went from, trying to find a job to finding something and, say, okay, I'm comfortable. I'm here. And then, as you said, like God came in and intervened and said, no, Alan, this is not what you want to do. So like, can you let everybody know kind of what you do currently right now?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, so I am after I got fired, I, took some time off to really figure out, like I said before, if I'm heading in the right direction. And long story short, I ended up, after a year of just really wrestling with, different ideas here and there, I came to the conclusion that I need to, I'm going to start my own business being an agent for an agency for social media influencers. And so I am I go to brands and I put together influencer marketing packages for brands and strategy to carry that out. So.
Can you kind of explain to the audience what's a influencer, and like just so they know and they can see what type of people you work with?
Absolutely. So an influencer is an individual that has a voice and has a voice on social platforms, and they over time have built up an audience that the audience really looks to them, really trusts them, looks to them to set the trends, looks to them for advice for success. Influencers, contrary to what a lot of people believe, is that influencers don't have to have millions and millions of followers. Influencers can have anywhere from, a couple hundred, all the way up into the thousands, yes, into the million followers. But what makes an influencer, or I almost like to say, not necessarily an influencer, but more like a content creator, is their audience. It really looks to them to set the trends. So
that's interesting right there. I'm just like so interested about your whole story and just how you came to being part of this right here, because you went from can't find a job in a chosen field to being able to stick with something for a year, and then getting to this point right now where you've been running your business successfully for about a couple of years now. So like, what made you decide like this is what I'm going to do? Like after you reevaluated yourself and you came back and said like, I don't want to so much go down, I'm not happy with the situation I'm in now. Like what made you just like, I'm going to do this?
So okay, perfect. So that was right after I got fired from my job. I took some time to really reevaluate and the direction I was headed. And I actually hired a life coach, and I was really, really lost. I had no idea, no direction. The only thing I knew is I knew what I was good at, naturally good at, but I didn't know. And so my life coach, after working with me for a couple months, he started to really press in on the idea of you should start your own company. And I used to hate it. I hated it when he would bring that up. And he was persistent. He kept bringing it up over and over again. And the reason I hated it so much was because I was really, really insecure about it. And I didn't believe in myself at all. And I didn't think it was possible. So it would annoy me, every time he'd say, hey, you need to think about starting your own business. I don't know. He would say, I don't know what it is, Adelaide, and that's up to you to decide what type of business you need to start. But you need to, you have the personality, you have, the drive, the ability to be a very successful entrepreneur. And so I really suppressed that for a long, long time. I actually had a good friend of mine that I met, at my old job as an evening wear designer, a fashion designer, and she was a social media influencer herself. And she and I actually, we get let go 2 weeks apart. And so misery loves company, right? So we really got close over the fact that we both were fired within 2 weeks apart. And so as I was working with a life coach, at the same time, I needed something to fill my time with. And I loved going to events, and I loved people, being around people. And so I would actually go with her to a bunch of events. I mean, I was only going with her as a tag along or a plus one. And I just got to watch her in action as she was, creating relationships with brands at these events, as she was networking, as she was meeting people. And slowly I started to come in contact with different types of brands and different influencers, through going to these events with her. And so, it was two moving parts at the same time, like I touched on. It was one moving part of a life coach really pressing in on me, telling me, you got to start your own business. And then it was the other moving part of going to these events with her, that, it started to kind of create a direction for me that I didn't even realize. I didn't realize God was creating a direction for me as this was happening. And I prayed a very, very dangerous prayer one night, and I remember exactly, it was sometime in October, I think it was about 4 years ago, and I said, God, you know me because you created me. You know me very, very well. You know me better than I know myself. You know I'm a yes man. You know I say yes, or I should say, yes woman. You know that I say yes to every opportunity that crosses my path, to anything and everything. I can't say no. And this is, a blessing and a curse. And so shut every door that you don't want me to go through so that I won't have any distraction, and only open that one door that you want me to walk through. And that was be careful what you pray for, because that was a really dangerous prayer. So what happened was, over the period of truly a year, I was going on hundreds and hundreds. I wish I was being dramatic, but I'm really not. Hundreds and hundreds of job interviews in fashion, like my old business, my old industry, and then also other industries as well. Hundreds and hundreds of job interviews in New York, and I just would get to the second, third rounds and just keep getting cut. They would ghost me over and over and over again, all these businesses, these brands. And, it was coming to the point almost like, it's that nothing was coming to the surface, and it was coming to the point where I'd go on these job interviews, and in the back of my head, I'd literally be thinking, this is such a waste of time. I'm not going to get this job. And I would even think to myself, should I even tell the interviewer, this is a waste of your time as well? Because you're not going to hire me. You're wasting your time. I'm wasting my time. I'm not going to get, and it was like very much like a negative, very, very, very negative, jaded mindset. And it's comical how God works, because as I was getting rejected from all these interviews, I have my life coach voice in the back of my head saying, start a business, start a business, start a business. And one day after doing, I dabbled in some event, a short term, I did end up getting a short term events project, and ended up, same scenario. I was promised, a long-term events gig of, planning and executing these events. And then he ended up firing me after a week. You're noticing a reoccurring theme in my life of getting a lot of getting fired, a lot of getting, cut from deals and from projects. I can't even explain to you, and it's hard for me to put it into words, but God basically lit a light bulb in my head and said, Adelaide, enough. You're going to start your own business. This is it. You're doing it. And that was the point, where I made a decision. My back was against the wall. I made a decision that I'm going to move forward, and I have absolutely I'm going to do a business and we'll see what could possibly, I'm only like 40, 50% in. No, I was 100% in, and I made up my mind that day. And I got confirmation from God, and this is it. I'm moving forward. So, and here I am today.
That's pretty interesting right there. You went through a lot just to get to this part right here. Most people would have, just given up, realized like, okay, I'm gonna go move back home and I'm gonna figure something else out. And even with your persistence on even going on 100 or so job interviews, which is pretty amazing, because this is what I kind of know you as, is like you're very persistent. You go get what you want to do. Like, what skill sets kind of really help you kind of push yourself to even start a business? Like, because like I know like many people are very scared of it. But like, what skill sets have you like really developed that you say were like the biggest thing for you to get to where you are now?
You know, I would say the first is, you know, there's multiple skill sets. I'd say the first definitely is, you know, persistence and resiliency that God, like I touched on before, God really developed that from getting fired in New York so many times, from either getting fired, let go, or not, you know, not getting one job and just going on 100 job interviews. So resiliency, endurance is huge, huge. And also too, and I joke about this, but there's a lot of truth in this. A skill set is I have probably a disgusting amount of optimism that is a little bit detached from reality. So I'm not at times, I think that is what's really, you know, I'm just so optimistic to the point that I am not realistic at times. Now, that's a blessing and a curse, you know. There's a lot of benefit, you know, that comes from it, but there's also, you know, I got to be careful as well. But I'd say just a ridiculous amount of optimism, a ridiculous amount of always thinking really, really positive, and also not a lot, you know, if something really tough happens, like if a deal, you know, falls through, you know, that I was putting, you know, so much energy and focus and so much time to really get it off the ground, and if it falls through, really being tough on myself to make sure, okay, hey, you're human, you're allowed to be disappointed, you're allowed, you know, but I have to set, I've got to be disciplined to set a time limit on how long I'm allowed to feel sorry for myself. And then once it's past that point, then it's like, you're done. You're not going to feel sorry for yourself anymore. You're going to get back on 2 feet and you're going to keep moving forward. You're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so that has been huge for me, is that, you know, like similar to like something as small as, like, you know, when you're laying in bed and your alarm goes off. I give myself 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes of snooze or just like, you know, resisting it, then I'm like, okay, getting out of bed and getting into the cold. Like I'm getting up. And that's similar to, you know, when you experience defeat. It's like, I'm gonna give myself X amount of time to be sad and to, you know, process that. And then after that, you're done. You're gonna put it behind you and you're gonna keep moving forward.
So how'd you become so disciplined and self-aware of yourself to even be like, okay, like I know how I feel now, but if I want to get to where I want to get to, I need to move on. Like, that's really a trait that you don't see in many people. Like, what events led to that for you even being that?
Well, I am an extremely introspective person. I really take time to analyze myself and to really, you know, my ultimate goal for 2019 is to be as self-aware as possible. I'm not there yet, but you know, so I spend a lot of time every morning. I almost have a ritual every morning. I wake up, I spend time in devotion, I spend time in prayer. But then I also spend time in reflection, and I think reflection is key and is really, really huge. And so as a result of creating this as a habit, you know, then what happens is that this reflection really works on the muscle of you becoming more self-aware, of you really reflecting over your life. And then that, and also too, I really believe, you know, as I touched on before, it's crucial to have someone speaking into your life, whether that is a life coach or someone holding you accountable, but someone speaking truth into your life and then also holding you accountable as well is huge. And those people that are speaking into your life, they're the ones that can really reveal blind spots that maybe you didn't realize that you're projecting, that actually are really holding you back from achieving, you know, your highest potential, achieving success.
So going back a little bit to when you were talking about, you know, you went on all these jobs, interviews. I just want to know, like, at what point, like, after you you talked to God, you said the prayer that you said, and then like, what actually made you the point? Like, okay, I'm stopping. Like, God is saying no. Like, what point did that exactly come from? Because I'm pretty sure you could have kept going a little more. Like, at what point did you get to the point where you was like, I'm stopping this right here. I'm starting my business, and I'm not turning around. I'm 100% in.
Okay, so I touched on that, but I can go a little more in depth into that. I mean, first of all, I was praying every day, God, give me direction, show me what your will is for my life. I was really honest. I was like brutally honest. I was like, I am a mess. I'm all over the place, and I don't even know necessarily what is good for me. So show me. And I thought that planning and executing event planning was actually something that I would go down. And so I ended up, through a series of networking, I ended up meeting someone that put me in contact with an event planner. And so I was working on this project, planning, a series of events with this event planner. And he didn't realize how green I was. He didn't realize how inexperienced that I just really didn't know a lot about planning events at all. And what happened was, like I touched on before, he came to me and said, this is going to be a long-term mentorship project. It's going to extend over many, many months. And it was actually after 1 week that he ended up cutting me. And that was actually a really, really tough blow to my pride. And that actually really, really hurt, because what happened was I was on planning the events and like running the whole show. And then after 1 week of having that mindset that I was going to be in charge of a lot of different people and a lot of different moving parts and vendors and so forth, he cut me. He said, no, you're not going to be doing that anymore. You're going to become a brand ambassador for one of our events. And I love, nothing against being a brand ambassador. I mean, I have an extensive background of being a brand ambassador. I love being a brand ambassador, but that was a huge cut to responsibility. And it was like, all of a sudden he took all this responsibility away from me. And now my only job was to show up at an event, smile, and hand out boxes, hand out gift bags at the event. So I went from planning all these events, all over the country, to now my only job is to go to an event, smile, look good, and hand out gift bags. And that was a really, really big blow to my pride, and that actually really was tough. But God works in really mysterious ways, because then what happened was, after one event, one day, I was speaking with, who was the event planner, who was my former boss, and he was saying, like, just rattling off different ideas of, oh, you should, have you ever thought about, being a full-time brand ambassador and going to different events and making this your full-time job? And in the back of my head, I was thinking, why would I want to be a full-time brand ambassador? You get paid anywhere from $18 to $22 an hour. Like, no. And then all of a sudden, and this is just wild how God works, God literally lit a light bulb off in my head. And God was like, you should be an agency for brand ambassadors and social media influencers. Like, he literally planted that idea in my head. And I can't even, it's very difficult, the way the Holy Spirit works at times, but it was like 100% confirmation. Like, this is it. This is what you need to be doing. And I had struggled with an entire lifetime of confusion. Am I really in God's will or not? I used to always be confused. I mean, that's where the enemy loves to attack you, is through confusion.
So how do you currently get clients right now?
You know, majority of my clients actually come from me networking and creating, going to events and creating that personal relationship with the brand first, and then really figuring out exactly what is their needs, and then making sure that I convey, let them know very, very clearly that my services, I can really bring a lot of value and fulfill all their marketing needs for sure.
After you meet the client, you talk to them, and you have the brand, like, what are the next kind of steps in that process to working with them to achieve their goal?
Well, okay, so we jump on a phone call and we figure out, you know, a series of different things, like what is it that they're looking to achieve? Are they looking to achieve, you know, do they have a new product that's being launched and they want to create, you know, brand awareness around this product? Are they looking to target different demographics all over the country? Are they looking to target different markets all over the country? Or, you know, another need comes across a lot is they need a stronger push of quality traffic that's directed to their e-commerce. And so from there, then I go and I find, you know, I interview, I vet these influencers that they already have very similar directions, very similar aesthetics, very similar passions and interest that beautifully align with the brand. And so I go and I am the one that creates that relationship, that synergy between the brand and the influencer, ultimately really making sure that the influencer is able to carry out the brand's goals.
So, you know, just going from that part there and extending the next thing, like, I want to know, like, if someone's in your position, or not in your position right now, but a position that you used to be in, or they're feeling lost and they don't know which direction to go, and like, what advice do you have to someone who doesn't know exactly what path they need to go down?
I'd have to think about that because I have so many answers and I don't want to bore you guys to death with all of my different ways to answer that question. But I would say my number one answer would be spend a lot of time in prayer because God always, 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 always shows up, and He always, always leads you in the direction that is best. Not just good, but ideal for your personality, for your characteristics, for your qualities. He will show you which route to go down. I will say though, it doesn't happen on our timeline, but He will place you in that job or in that career path that is perfect, optimal for you. So I say spend a lot of time in prayer. And then my other thing that I would suggest is someone that's feeling really stuck or lost is get every single day, make sure that you do something that kind of scares you, kind of freaks you out a little bit. Like, what makes you uncomfortable? Does going to events by yourself make you uncomfortable? Does learning to rock climb make you uncomfortable? Does, just anything, but does getting in front of a group of people and public speaking make you uncomfortable? Really learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable is huge. And so do something that scares you every day. And then also, I would say if you're really feeling lost, get involved. Find a buddy, find a partner if you want, like a friend, and you guys just get involved in a lot of different things. Pretend like you're a freshman in college all over again, and you've got this campus with all these different types of activities and events. Get involved in a lot of different things, a lot of different activities, because you just never know who you're gonna meet. It could be one conversation that all of a sudden sparks an idea, a light bulb, similar, with my situation. A light bulb goes off in your head and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is it. This is what I need to do. So what I really, really, really want to encourage is keep moving, keep putting one foot in front of the other. And just keep moving and keep doing something. Don't sit and don't allow your thoughts to take over, because your thoughts can be extremely paralyzing, and your thoughts actually can create a world of fear, and then you won't be able to, then you'll have a list of excuses. So I just say, keep doing, keep getting involved, and see what can happen.
Adeline, what's next for you?
You know, I want to continue definitely to expand my business, and you know, I want to expand all over the country, and I want to have clients and represent influencers that are all over the country. But I will say where my heart in the future lies is I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a life coach. I know I'm not there yet, so I'm an aspiring life coach. But I had this conversation. This was just an everyday conversation, but I had it about 8 or 9 years ago that I actually have never forgotten, and it stuck with me. And it was just a friend and I, we were at the park one day, and you know, he had grown up in a very, very, very small southern town. And what happened was he was telling me about, you know, the background and the mindset of this town, how, you know, very homogeneous culture, but also, you know, I just asked a simple question, like why do you think, in your perspective, why do you think that everyone that grows up in that small town stays in that small town and doesn't leave that small town? And, you know, he said, or ends up going into the occupation of their parents, or, you know, and I said, you know, after I said this question, I was like, hey, listen, honestly, I'm not being critical of these type of people at all. I'm just curious, I want to know. He said, you know, a lot of different reasons for why people grow up in a small town. You know, one, it could just be that they like the comfort that the small town offers. But then he said, and he said something else that was interesting. He said, but a lot of people don't think that there are other options out there. They literally, they cannot, their reality is, this is it. This is the only thing that exists that's in front of me. And he said, and you know, that actually can be extremely negative for a lot of people, and it can be really, really debilitating for a lot of people, because they start to gain a loss of hope. They start to have no hope. And hope for something better, hope for change, hope for different. That is what really ignites someone. That is what ignites change. That is what ignites someone to take action. Action is the word I was looking for. But the problem is, when there's a loss of hope, people become paralyzed, and they think this is it. And that conversation has never left me, because I want to be a life coach. I want to be a mentor for the people that have a loss of hope, that feel paralyzed in their situation, and that can't figure out a different route, that they have, you know, that they just don't know the necessary steps to take to get out of their situation. And so that, I would say, is where I ultimately want to head. Is I want to get to know that individual, because God has wired us as humans, that we all have, as I like to call those, buttons that excites us, that when we press it, that excites us, that lights us up. And I want to figure out, everyone's got a different button. Everyone's got a different thing that, like, you know, that excites them. But I want to figure out what motivates, what excites someone, what sparks, you know, a flow of a different type of thought process. And I want to figure that out in each person, so that I can start getting them to think and start questioning. Because when you start thinking and start questioning, that's when you start to move in a whole new direction that you never thought was even possible.
So what excites you?
What excites me? Motivating people excites me. Seeing people light up. Having people surprise you, and when you meet someone and you think that they're one way, and then all of a sudden you figure out that what their buttons are, and then you press that button, and then all of a sudden you see a whole different side to that person. And that's what excites me, is creating, motivating, and ultimately at the end of the day, empowering people. Empowering is what excites me, and I want to empower people on an individual level, but I also want to empower people in front of a large audience as well.
So what makes you different than other agencies that are out there?
So my agency is actually different than most agencies because I work with a trusted network of performance-based influencers. And so instead of the client paying a flat fee for Instagram, Facebook post, YouTube videos, a flat fee depending on like the amount of post, they actually are they're only paying for results that are generated. So that means that the influencer is engaging with their audience through tweets, retweets, comments, shares, likes, reach, impressions, and creating beautiful content. The client, the brand, is not paying for that. They're actually paying for the amount of click-throughs that are generated to their e-commerce, to their website. And so the beauty is that I am able to really, not only does the client get, beautiful content, but I'm also able to really prove the client's ROI at the end of the campaign. And so I really work with that client to figure out, like I touched on before, what is your customer journey? What is your conversion rate? How many clicks does it take to convert to sales? And then from there, I go to find those influencers to carry out those goals.
So how can people connect with you?
The easiest way to connect with me is by reaching out to me either through email or through my Instagram, my business. I've got my contact on my website, and then I also have my contact through Instagram and Facebook as well. So that's just the quickest way to reach out to me.
So if you guys want to talk to Adelaide about anything, or especially from an influencer side, or if you need someone to help coach you to get you up and do what you're supposed to do and move your life along, then I'll make sure I link all that down in the descriptions. But I just want to say thank you, Adelaide.
Oh,
so much
thank
for being
you.
on
You're so
podcast.
great. I really appreciate it.
And just like name, I believe you're up next. And thank you so much.
Absolutely.
See you guys next week, next video.